Hello everyone, it's the Wandering Hermit. Just out on a leisurely stroll this morning here in northwest England, and we have had some snow, which in this part of the UK is pretty unusual. You see, where I live, it's a coastal peninsula, so we are surrounded on three sides by water. We have the Irish Sea on one side, the River Mersey on another, and the River Dee on the third side. Both of which are coastal rivers, tidal rivers I should say. Therefore it's all salt water. As you can imagine, this creates a bit of an insulated climate of salty sea air, which means we don't get very much snow because it always melts before it hits the ground, or if it hits the ground it doesn't last. So this is a novelty, and it's got me thinking, as I'm sort of wandering around, having risen with the sun today for the first time in, a long time. It's got me thinking that winter itself as a season, it's all about novelties, isn't it, really? Winter, in the northern hemisphere at least, is a time of scarcity. It's a time when resources are low and moods are even lower. It's the time of death and rest. All nature seems to go to sleep, and all human activity is forced to sleep as well. At least that's the way it was in the old world. Now we're not as beholden to the weather as our ancestors once were. I think, in a way, because of all of the technological advances we've made over the many centuries, we've got to a point now where we take what we do have for granted, because life has become so easy for us in the Western world. I think it takes days like this, when you're presented with something as beautiful as this, to remember that, we should be grateful for everything that we have. Because life wasn't always as easy. Life wasn't always as pleasant for us. And there are still people in the world who suffer greatly, even in the developed world, in the UK, in the US, across Europe. There are people who are still suffering at the hands of Our Lady Skadi. Those people who don't have families to take care of them, those people who don't have a roof over their heads. And it just makes me think how amazingly lucky I am as an individual, how amazingly lucky we are as a society to have what we have. Now, beyond that, the recent snowfall has made me consider also how things happen in unexpected ways. Now, everyone dreams of having a white Christmas, don't they? Now, I personally don't really do Christmas, I do Yule, but it's the whole idea. Everyone wants it to snow over the festive season. Where I live, that never happens. Or very, very rarely happens. And yet, here we are, the end of January, when winter is supposed to be winding back. Imbolc kind of marks that point in the year when winter decides, okay, you know what, I've battered you guys long enough, let's just chill our boots and just wind down on the run to spring. And yet, here, that's not happening. Instead, the snow's fallen at a rather unexpected, not necessarily an opportune time, but yeah, certainly unexpected. And that seems to be the story of my life, at least at the moment. Things happening in unexpected ways or unexpected times. We've had quite a rough ride over the last 6 months. And here I am back in civilization. Yeah, rough ride over the last 6 months. With, health and whatnot. Some of you may know I've recently become a father. But again, this has happened in somewhat of an unexpected way. Now, the gods have blessed us with a child, despite being told on numerous occasions that we couldn't have any children. But through sheer luck, I suppose, and perhaps just a little bit of magical working, we were able to prove them wrong. But it's not been a smooth ride. We had many scares along the way, and now that it's come to the 6 month mark, our son's decided he doesn't want to wait any longer, and he's come 12 weeks early, and as such is having to prove his mettle by battling against the odds to develop and get to the right gestational age where he can go home. That's why I've been living in the hospital. It's like this, despite all of the problems that we've had, and despite all of the fear that we felt and the worry and the anxiety, we still are blessed. We're still extremely fortunate. And again, that's what winter teaches us. You're faced with hardship, but through that hardship, you always have to remember that things are going to get better. You always have to remember that the sun will always rise again, and that summer will always return. And often, through the hardship and through the lack that we have over those winter months, we often are presented with things that we've previously overlooked or missed. Those things that we've taken for granted, we're suddenly made aware of as blessings from the divine. And I don't know, this winter's really kind of shown me those things in life which are most important. I mean, I like to think that I had a pretty good grasp of those things anyway, but no, this winter's really kind of consolidated my understanding of prioritizing those things in life. And I think this come through in in my magical practice as well. Because even though we're living in a hospital, in a accommodation that's like made for parents whose children are, in the intensive care unit, it could always be worse. We could have to be living back home and having to be travelling up here every day. Where we might not have the support of friends and family that we have. The moral and emotional support. And, despite the unusual living situation that we're in, I found that it hasn't really interfered with our lives that much. We're still doing everything that we normally do. I'm still reading, I'm still writing, I'm still doing my videos, I'm still able to perform ritual. I posted a couple of photographs earlier this morning. I say earlier this morning, I mean earlier this morning, like 4 a.m. of an altar that I'd been able to set up in the room I was staying. Because, I've got friends and family who support, our path, our spiritual path. So when I ask, for a load of stuff to be brought from home, okay, can you bring some candles? Can you bring X, Y, and Z? Those people, don't ask any unnecessary questions. They don't kind of treat you weirdly about it. They just go, oh yeah, sure, okay. So they brought, I had those items brought to where we were staying, and I was able to set up my altar with all the things that I would normally use. And I've been able to do ritual over the last few days. And it's been really refreshing. It's really lent itself again to that change in mindset of, hey, you know what? Be grateful for what you have. It's not what you expected. It's not necessarily ideal. But you could always be dead. You could always be freezing on the street, You could always have less. And that's something that we as pagans always need to be mindful of. We could always have less. Things could always be worse. And I think with that, I want to kind of end this video with a message to, my brothers and sisters in the pagan community, whether you follow the Celtic path, whether you follow the Norse path, whether you're a Hellenic pagan, whether you're atheistic and just love witchcraft, doesn't matter our cultural differences, it doesn't matter our outlook on morality or whatever else. We are all the same, and we are all rendered equal in death. Well, I say rendered equal, we're already equal in life, but death is the thing that makes us realise that we're all equal. And beyond that, as I say, always remember things could always be worse. So no matter how bad things seem in your life, if you're hurting, if you feel as though there's nothing left for you, always remember that you could always have less. We need to focus on the things that we do have, focus on the things that we need to be grateful and thankful for. Now, I know in America you guys have Thanksgiving and you use that as a time to be thankful for things. I'm not even going to go into the cultural background of that particular celebration. But again, the principle remains the same. Be thankful for what you do have. Focus on that. Let that be, the light of the reborn sun in the darkest of months. Just some of my winter musings. Wish you all a very good day or night wherever you are in the world. May God's be with you.